From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
One more corner pocket.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hutchavandi.
And Corey Clark.
Wake up! It's Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill in Tallahassee, Florida. CPTallybar.com is the website. Coming up on today's show, Ta'Niya Latson, probably the best women's college basketball player in program history, one-on-one with Corey Clark, and we'll talk some football. Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, Tallahassee, Florida. Don't forget tomorrow's bingo night over at the Corner Pocket. Today, the lunch special, pressed ham and Swiss. You can check that out from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., only $8.99, and it comes with a side. Thumbs up if you're listening to us on YouTube. That'd be cool. 5-star rating and review if you're on an Apple iOS device. That would be cool as well. Corey Clark is here as usual, per usual. Corey, how are you, man?
I'm good, buddy. I think I'm doing better than you. Sounds like you're still fighting it. How do you feel? I know you don't sound great, but how do you feel?
A little lethargic. Got the only thing is I cough a bunch, which whatever. But I cough now, my head hurts. It's weird. It's been on this day 11 now. But they gave me some drugs over at the hospital, so we'll see. Well, not the hospital. I went to urgent care, or whatever. But I'll be all right. Nobody cares about that. I'll pull through it.
I care, man.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be busy.
I don't care a ton.
No.
It was more of a passing question. I don't care that much, but I do care, man. I want you to be all right. I don't want you to be sick.
That's right. I appreciate that. Thank you, Corey. We'll be busy starting today. Maybe that's what I need. Maybe I just need direction in my life. I need things to do. I don't have children to chase around or a woman to drive me up a wall or make me happy, make me whole, make me complete.
Right.
We'll speak to Jaheim Bell, Jeremiah Byers, Fentrell Cypress, also known as Deuce Cypress in some corners. And we'll finally get to talk to Keziah Holmes. All that later on this morning, so be on the lookout for complete wrap-ups and the video interviews up on our YouTube channel, which is Warchant TV. So Bell, Byers, Cypress, Holmes. Looks like we're doing some sort of maybe
alphabetical order?
Kind of. Not exactly, though, because we get KJ Kirkland and Lamont Green Jr. on Thursday. So for Green would have been ahead of Holmes. But maybe Holmes, since he's been here a while.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Yeah, seniority.
Yeah, so that's cool. I was hoping maybe we would get Mr. Sertan, but we'll take these four young gentlemen. Starts at 10 o'clock in the morning. So are you going to be on transcription duty, stenographer Clark?
No, actually, didn't know this was coming. So I had a dentist appointment for Thursday at 3, and then Tuesday afternoon they called and asked if they could move it till Wednesday at 10 a.m. And I'm like, absolutely, sure. I'd rather do it in the morning anyway and get it over with. And then I found out 30 minutes later that that we're getting the newcomer. So I will not be there for the interviews. You won't get my hard-hitting questions or my transcription skills. But I can still write. I can still get those quotes. I can watch an interview and write a story off it as good as anyone. All right. Well, there's as good as anyone.
There's still breath in Ira Schofel's lungs, so we'll get plenty of questions from him carrying the day, which is
But it's also I had the root canal, and now they got to put a crown on it. I mean, this is like a 12-step process, man. This is crazy. I didn't know it was going to be this. I think I went in like early November, and here we are in late January, and now I got to get the crown on it. Then I got to get like a temporary something other. Who knows, man? It's a 2-hour ordeal. I don't know enough about dentistry because I thought a crown, just the way it sounds, is you just put it on the tooth and we're done. Yeah. Like it should be a 4-minute. But apparently it's very tedious and time-consuming, and it's going to take 2 hours.
Well, they cut off what's decayed, and then they put the crown over it. So
yeah, I thought that was kind of what the root canal was doing. I've made a point of not looking up any of the terms and what they were doing. I didn't want to know, and now here I am.
Root canal is wild. If you look at your X-rays moving forward, you will see which tooth you got the root canal. Like you will see this white line on your X-ray.
Oh, I saw it. They showed it to me. Yeah, it's crazy looking. Yeah.
Anyhow, that's our oral history of oral dental history.
Of my oral
science.
health, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm really curious to hear about Bell. I want to hear, maybe what he thinks he can bring to the table or what he wasn't able to bring to the table there in South Carolina this past season. There was really high hopes for him going into 2022, and it just didn't really pan out for him. But he's obviously worth kicking the tires on and bringing into your program at a position of need like that. And then Byers, really interesting story. Hopefully we'll get some more detail on it, but he's a guy that I think really his trajectory started as a junior in high school, getting an invite to, I think, Prairie View A&M's junior day. And then he ends up finding a way to UTEP, and now he's at Florida State. Fentrell Cypress was the number 1 overall prospect in the portal for a long while until Travis Hunter entered. And then Keziah Holmes, we'll get to maybe see what he thinks about being in a crowded back room. Maybe he doesn't see it like that. Maybe he just realizes they're all on fries. It doesn't matter what's going on with milkshakes and burgers. I'm on fries. Malik McClain, though, he used to do the program. He just sent out a farewell. I think he went ahead and committed to Penn State.
How about that?
How about that?
Congrats to him.
I mean, it shows you're in a pretty good place where a player's leaving you to go to a top-tier program like that. So Florida State in a good situation right now roster-wise, right?
Yeah, and Trayshawn too. I mean, Kansas State's not a joke at all. They've been that's a good program, and they got Trayshawn, and then Penn State, is one of the third best program in the Big Ten, the top 12, top 10-ish program in the country. So yeah, good for him. I mean, again, I don't know how his career will pan out in Happy Valley. He was just not going to be a guy that got 50 or 60 catches here. I don't know anything about Penn State's receiver depth chart, but I just the look of the offense, the look of the season. McClain was in his second year, and he wasn't an afterthought because that's rude. And he made some big plays. He had a big catch against Florida, right down the middle of the field. Had a touchdown against Syracuse. Had some big touchdowns in his career, but he just wasn't a kind of guy that you went into 2023 thinking he was going to be a vital part of your offense. It was going to be he's going to get 25 snaps a game. Maybe at Penn State he gets 60. We'll see. I just, and judging from the way he said goodbye on Twitter or on social media, there certainly was no ill will there.
Yeah, no, yeah, he's got two graphics, two images. One's a graphic image with some text on or whatever. So he thanks his learning specialists and professors, and also, everybody at Florida State for the last 2 years. So yeah, everyone's leaving on happy terms. That's a good thing. Hey, wanted to get your thoughts on this, Corey. Somebody had tweeted this at me the other day. I forgot to bring it up on the program earlier, but we do know that Tate Rodemaker is going to be back this season because he signed with the collective, the Battle's End. Somebody was asking, what do we think about them have possibly approached him before they had signed Duffy, but maybe he turned it down because he wasn't sure about his future at the time. Is that something? I mean, we didn't necessarily say that they overlooked him to sign Duffy, but it was one of those things where it's like, well, man, I hope they have a plan with this. Maybe it was one of those things where they could have reached out to him. Maybe he was kind of, I don't want to make you speculate here, but it's January 17th or 18th or whatever. I didn't think about it that way. I was like, maybe they just simply thought that they would go with Duffy and then see how the spring shook out and whether or not they wanted to extend him an offer. But maybe there was one of those things where it's like, yeah, I'm all right now. And then he came back to them later on. I mean, that whole process was a little bit curious, I felt.
Yeah, it was that you announced the third stringer before the second stringer. But I don't know how ironclad those contracts are either. Like as far as if he signs with the Battle's End, can he now not in April decide, hey man, I want to go play at Kansas? Like I feel like he can still do that. So I just think it might have been more like, hey, hold off, because he might have been thinking, let me see if there's any good landing spots for me where I know I can go play. And there's just for a kid like Tate Rodemaker, it's not like the people will be falling all over themselves to get Tate Rodemaker. So what's his best alternative? To do what Chubba Purdy did and go be a backup in the cold for a worse program, or stay here and be a backup for a good program where you know the system, and if you perform well enough, there's a chance you go into 2024 as the assumed starter. I just feel like it makes more sense for him to do this route as opposed to go fight for a job somewhere else where he doesn't know the coach, he doesn't have any goodwill built up, it's not a system he knows. I feel like this is a good chance for Rodemaker. It's the best chance he's got to play high-level Division I football.
All right. Second question of the day, Corey. If you saw two tickets from a sports book, from mybookie.ag, let's say, for example, and one of them had Florida State making the playoff in 2023, Florida State making the playoff in 2024, right now in this moment, which ticket would you pick? You can only get one of them. You can only take one of them. They're both free of charge, but you can only pick one of them.
So when you first asked it, I'm like, well, that's a dumb question because they're going to be losing half their team after the 2023 season. But I see what you're doing because it expands in 2024. There's 3 times as many teams. I think I would still say 23. It's a good question, though. It's a good question. It's a better question than it sounds like initially, but I think I would say 2023, just because of the offense and the quarterback.
Much deliberation, a little bit of deliberation.
Yeah, no, it's so hard to know what they're going to be in 2024. They are going to replace a ton. Now they have the
12 though, Corey. 12 teams. They would have been in there comfortably this past season.
Well, no. What were they when they?
That's right. After the Florida game, I don't know. After championship weekend, I should have looked that up. I'll try to look it up so I can find.
But they would have been in the conversation for sure, and they would have been in if they wouldn't have screwed up the NC State game, without a doubt.
But they did though. That's
yes, they did. But the point being, that's how close they would have been to being in the playoff. Is one failed sequence at the end of a game in Raleigh. That was it. If they win that game, they would have been in the playoff if there were a 12-team playoff this year. And there were some struggles clearly with this team. And they still would have had a chance. So can Florida State reach that kind of level in 2024? Or can we expect a team that's somewhere on the cusp of the top 15, maybe lucks out a win on the road that it shouldn't, and now you're in the conversation, you go get in the playoff? Yeah, I mean, it's certainly possible. There's just so much unknown. I look, if we go with the trend that we've seen, then yes, they should be a top 15 team in 2024, and if you're a top 15 team, you are right there. You're one play, one game away. Right now, are they a top 6 team? Because you have to be a top 4 team, as we all know, to be in the playoff in 2023. Are they will they be closer to top 4 this year than top 12 2 years from now? That's a very good question. I still think they're going to take a dip. It's going to be a dip because you're breaking in a new quarterback. You're breaking probably in a new running back, some O-linemen, some defensive ends. Like, there's going to be some holes to fill. So I would still think I'd go with the with 2023. But yeah, there's more deliberation when I talk about it than I would have thought 6 minutes ago before you asked me the question.
Thank you for humoring me on that, Corey. That poll at that moment, at least the AP poll at the conclusion of championship weekend, Florida State was 13th at 9-3. So just outside the margin. That would have been brutal, huh? Right? Missed out by one by the slimmest of margins there. 3-loss K-State was in there, but they obviously had won their conference, as did Utah. Utah was ranked 7th. They also had 3 losses, but they, too, had won their conference. Everybody else had 2 or less losses.
And I think, again, it's not – thinking about that, like, yeah, Florida State fans would have been upset, and you guys would have made all these arguments about why they should be ranked higher and everything, but you can't really be that mad when you're 13th in the country and you have 3 losses. Like, it's a lot different when you only have 1 loss or 0 losses and you're left out, as opposed to 3 losses and you're arguing between 12 and 13 and not 4 and 5. So yeah, it would have been brutal, but not nearly as brutal as if they were 5th in the country, and they didn't make it because just because of the NC State game. It would have made that NC State game hurt that much more.
You're right.
Like, golly, like, once you lose that game, you're like, yeah, man, that would have been a great win. That would have been a big win. We could afford another loss and still get in there, but we blew it. And that's how it would have just haunted you for the next 2 months.
Do you think we'll be better sports, not just Florida State fans, but college football fans in general, if you're 13th, 14th, and you miss out versus the teams that are 5 and 6 that don't make the playoff now? Because you have to realize then, they're allowing 12 people in this thing.
Yes.
What are we going to do? But it's still at the same time, you still are so close from being let inside of this elite fraternity that you're going to find ways to probably pick at it, though, no?
Yeah, you will, but it's like somebody arguing about being the 69th team or the 68th team in the NCAA tournament. Like, if you're arguing about being the last team left out of the NCAA tournament, you're probably 20-12. Like, you've lost a lot of games. So again, it sucks. It's a bummer, but it's all just degrees at that point. So you can't. It wouldn't be like a startling, angering decision. Like, oh my God, I can't believe they left us out at 13 with our great 9-3 season. How many ranked teams did you beat? Well, 1, and they weren't ranked when Florida State beat them, but they're ranked now. LSU's good now. Like that, you just wouldn't have had look, college football fans are always going to find a reason to complain, but I think you'll have a little more understanding of, like, yeah, we're 13th, we're 14th, we're not 5th trying to get into the top 4. We're not 12-1, and our only loss was on the road by a field goal, but they're going to put in 2 SEC teams instead of us. I don't think it'll feel unfair. And that's all. You would have had plenty of chances to get in the top 12, especially a place like Florida State. You won't. I don't think it'll feel unfair if they get left out at 14th or 15th because they have 3 losses. Another team has 3 losses, but they won the Pac-12. Like, you can't argue that, can you? It's just, that's life. It's going to be cool though, man. I cannot wait for the 12-team playoff. It's going to be, especially the home games. I just think that's going to be really neat, man. It's going to be a fun time.
How was headlines yesterday? Fun?
Yeah, we crushed it.
Was anything you want to explore that they kept getting in your way about and then let you spread your wings and fly?
No, we had a problem with Jeff's mic. So he had to come into the room with Ira and I, and that made for a funny second hour because of the camera angle where like Ira, it was right over his shoulder the whole time, and Jeff was like having to talk over his shoulder to Ira, so that was fun. Other than that, no, not really.
I'm wondering if I need to start listening to headlines again and then bring things up from that show on this show that maybe I want to cross-examine you about.
I mean, you should listen to headlines because it's a good show.
I download it, which is what really matters. We don't even care if you listen to this show.
That's true,
yeah. Download
I don't care if you listen. I don't care if any of you guys listen to this. Just download it.
Exactly, please. That's all we ask.
Play it with the volume on low. Play it with the volume off. We don't care. No, that's we love our fans. But I'm trying to think of something on headlines. Well, we talked probably a little too much about basketball because people were asking us about basketball. That which the team played on Tuesday night, but we recorded before the basketball game. We're just bummed. The 3 of us are big basketball fans and big Leonard fans.
You guys are.
And really big fans and proponents of Leonard, and it's just sad what's happened and what this team has become, what this program looks like it's become. So that's a bit of a bummer. Talked a little bit about baseball. Opening days, I think a month from now, which is exciting. The softball team is ranked 4th in the preseason poll.
They got 3 I think they got 3 players in the D1 softball top 100. Catherine Sandercock and Mac Leonard and Kaylee Harding. So Lonnie's reloaded because they don't rebuild over there. They just reload.
Yeah.
Excited for that. How about the Ta'Niya Latson lady?
Yeah, so you guys will get to listen to that interview. Of course, because of our impeccable timing, they're coming off a loss. We didn't run the interview when she went 13 of 16 against number 11 NC State, and they pulled off the 20-point upset. We're going to run it after they lost at home to Louisville, and she was 3 of 16 from the floor, whatever she was. But look, it's an evergreen interview because it's about her as a player, like her growing up, how she got this good. I didn't realize she moved around so much as a kid. And
Army
then she's
brat.
well, she was, and like she didn't even really start playing competitively until like 6th grade, which for somebody as good as her seems really young or really old to get and didn't really, she said, get like a full-time trainer to work on her game until she was like a junior in high school. Again, that just seems late to the game, but she's awesome. If you've watched them play, you know that, and if you haven't watched them play, you're dumb, and you should, because she's really fun to watch. And the one thing I didn't know, because I've seen a few interviews with her, but I haven't talked to her before, is how bright she is. Like it was pretty obvious very early, and I even asked the question, like, what is she majoring in, and what's her GPA? And I knew the answer was going to be a very high, but I think she said she's never made a B, right? She's gotten straight A's her whole life, and you can tell when she talks that she's a very, very bright person. So yeah, it was a fun interview, man, and it's cool. And we'll be doing more of these as the off season of football, is more and more in our present. We can. And the good news at a place like Florida State, there's so many good athletes in all these sports. Like our man who was the Zaxby's indescribably good tennis player of the week.
Yeah.
You've got people that are nationally ranked. Ta'Niya Latson, legitimately, folks. She's the best player Florida State's ever had. I don't know who the second place is, but what she's done her first year at Florida State, and let's hope she stays here all 4, is unparalleled. It's unbelievable. She leads the ACC in scoring. She's won 9 straight ACC Rookie of the Week awards. I think she's won 4 or 5 ACC Player of the Week. She's going to be the Player of the Year, the Freshman of the Year. She's probably going to be the National Freshman of the Year. She should be a first-team unanimous All-American, and she's at Florida State, and that's cool, man. And she's really, really fun to watch, and she was a fun interview. So I hope you stick around for that because it's insightful. It's always cool to talk to somebody that's awesome at something.
So we will unleash Corey and Ta'Niya's one-on-one, but a couple of housekeeping items here real quick. We'll have a Renegade Express thread posted on the Tribal Council as you're listening to this, so go ahead and get involved, hop in there. We'll break it up into a two-parter, so we'll take your questions pretty much all morning, all day on Wednesday, and then we'll record 2 shows, and we'll drop one Thursday, and then one Friday for you folks as well. So maybe we'll try to get to these questions a little bit more in depth instead of bundling everything together. Or maybe we'll bundle them and just make it 2 tight shows that are like only 35 minutes each. But also the portal closes today, kind of, as you're listening to this. You can no longer enter your name in the portal after midnight. But if you're in there already, you can still find a place to call home. And the deadline to enter into the portal is at midnight, but compliance, which is the part of your university administration that's responsible for processing your information to put you into the portal and get you ready to go, it can take them like 2 to 3 days to put everything through. So while the portal feels like maybe it's come to its conclusion, it hasn't. It's never going to end. It's never going to stop. 2 more days, then we'll probably have like a full idea, like by Thursday-ish. Friday, we'll probably have a full idea. I mean, not probably. We will have a full idea by then of who's going to be available for this first window. And then remember, it starts again, and people can start putting their names in it after spring football, like in May or whatever. So the portal's not over. Check out warchant.com. Michael Langston got you covered on all the stops on the recruiting visits for Mike Norvell and his staff, and if there's any other portal guys that might be coming up to mind. It's a new year, new you, so give yourself a fresh start with MyBookie. Whether you bet to earn or to make the games more exciting, MyBookie gives you the most for your money with their redesigned deposit bonus. Just use the promo code WARCHANT on a deposit of $50 or more to receive a cash bonus instantly into your MyBookie account. Using the bonus is simple. Bet the deposit amount just once, and then you're ready to cash out. No strings attached with MyBookie. Bet on the NFL playoffs, UFC, or play for a big share of cash prizes in their weekly online blackjack tournaments. With so many brands to choose from, you need a platform that makes it simple to bet, simple to win, simple to cash out. It's all there at mybookie.ag. Use the promo code WARCHANT. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie.
I'm here with Ta'Niya Latson. Ta'Niya, you're awesome. We've all watched you play. It's pretty incredible to watch you play. I wanted to know, when did you first know, man, I'm better than all these people? Like, were you 6? Were you 4? Were you 9, 13? When was it?
I started playing AAU around 5th grade, and then I started playing up with like the 8th graders. So I knew I had a little bit of game around that time. So,
around the 8th grade?
Like 5th grade, yeah, 5th grade.
Okay, so 5th grade though. So you're what, 11, 10 or 11? I guess that's how old you are in the 5th grade.
Yeah.
Before that, you were just playing rec ball?
Yeah, I was just playing rec ball. I lived on a military base, and that's when I first started playing like organized basketball, like in the 4th grade. So yeah.
Were you good as a 4th grader in rec ball? Like, I know rec ball isn't the best. My son went through it. There could be games where there's like 13-9, but were even your first year, were you like, okay, I understand this. I'm pretty good at this.
Yeah, I couldn't shoot a lick, but I knew I could get to the basket. So that was my strong suit.
So take me then, who was the first person to suggest AAU ball to you? Who was the first person, and I don't know if it was a family member, mom, dad, sibling, that says, you've got something kind of unique here, and you need to go play up. You need to go play better competition because you have a chance to be something really special.
Actually, I saw a flyer at my school when it was in elementary, and I was living in Missouri, and I saw a flyer at my school, and I just ran home, and I was like, Dad, I got to do this. I want to play AAU. So, yeah, that's how it all started.
Were you self-driven? You didn't have a parent maybe behind you saying, come on, you're awesome at this? Was this kind of you falling in love with it all on your own?
Nah, my dad really inspired me. Well, he kept me going, honestly. Even when I wanted to quit and I didn't think basketball was really for me, he still like inspired me, and he pushed me to keep going.
Well, wait, when was that? Weren't you always good? So when did you not think it was for you?
I just didn't like the critiquing part of it. Like, I didn't think I did anything wrong. Like, even though I couldn't even shoot, and I had a lot of flaws in my game around that time, and I just thought I was the best and nobody can tell me anything. And I didn't like that part of it. So I didn't like the constant grind. I didn't like it. I didn't fall in love with the game until about like 8th grade. That's when I started taking it really, really serious.
Was that too also? I imagine even in by the way, where did you start playing AAU ball? You said Missouri?
Yeah, Missouri.
Where all have you lived?
I lived in Missouri, Hawaii, Texas, and Georgia, and
Florida.
Yeah.
Where in Hawaii?
Oahu. Honolulu. Yeah.
How long were you there?
I was there for about 4 years.
I know as a tourist, it's awesome. It's like, this is unbelievable. But what is it like to wake up every day in Hawaii? Like, that's your life. It's just like everything else, you get used to it. It gets kind of old. It's like, oh yeah, there's some sun, there's some beach.
No. Like, it's so surreal. Like the basketball court in the neighborhood, it was like mountains in the background, like literally a movie every day. Every day.
And you appreciated it even back then.
Yeah.
How old were you in Hawaii?
I was going into the 5th grade. Yeah, I was going. Well, no, I was going into the 6th grade. So yeah.
And then, where did you start high school? What state were you in for that?
I started high school when I was in Atlanta. Yeah, I went to Westlake High School. And
you were there for 3 years, correct?
Yeah, 3 years, and then I moved to Miami.
And so your dad was in the Army, right? That's why you were moving so much?
Yeah, that's why.
How much does it help? I know at that age in particular, I guess every age really, I'm a 47-year-old man. It can be hard to make friends. It can be intimidating to join a new scene or a new high school. How much did basketball help you kind of ingratiate yourself with new people? Because you were joining people that were probably friends their whole lives, and here comes the new girl. How intimidating was that? And how much did that help that you were, obviously so good at a sport?
Basketball really helped me making friends. I was naturally quiet in school, but just getting out there on the court playing against the boys, that's like, oh shoot, she can play. So I mean, I got a lot of hype off of just that, and just like gaining friendships within the team, and that really helped me in regards of making friends.
So you talked about how you couldn't shoot when you started. Well, now you're like Larry Bird at the free throw line. It's nuts. You're Steph Curry. You don't miss. I'm trying not to jinx you. But you got it. What you made? You've already set some records, I'm sure. But how many shots are we talking about you getting up to be that good at the free throw line, or just to be a good shooter in general? But to be that good at the free throw line, how many how much work did it take to do that?
Just repetition and confidence. I mean, I didn't start training until I was my junior year of high school, and that's when I really started like really, really locking in and like appreciating the grind. Like I said, I couldn't shoot, so I needed to, implement that in the game. And I shot a lot of free throws with my trainer, sometimes 100 every time we train, just to get repetition. And I feel like that really helped me, especially for the next level.
Was it like, hey, you've got to make 100 a day? You've got to take 100 a day? Were there goals?
Yeah. Each training session, we shot 100 free throws. You had to make them, and they had to be all net. So.
Oh, they had to be all net. Oh, okay, man. Jeez. All right. That's cool. So, so then you said that you started training before your junior year, or right around your junior year, you got a trainer.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think whose idea was that? Was that a coach's idea? Again, a dad's idea? Because at that point, as a sophomore in high school, you had to know, okay, I'm going to be able to play college basketball, and I'm pretty darn good. But you clearly wanted to be better.
Yeah.
So whose idea was that?
I think he saw me at a AAU tournament, and he inboxed me on Instagram. He DM'd me on Instagram, and he was wondering if I wanted to train with him. Honestly, I didn't know who to train with or who to, because sometimes trainers aren't the best, and so I just, I was like, I need to pick up on this shooting thing, so I just went with it, and ever since then, he's been my trainer since, and he still is my trainer. So. What's
his name?
Bernard Pitts, Coach Pitts.
And is he in Atlanta?
Yeah, he's in Atlanta.
So what was it? So Westlake, what was that like going to Westlake?
It was fun. I mean, being around my people and, loving the culture that Atlanta has. And I built real friendships. That was my first time, like, really building real friendships, and Raven Johnson and Brianna Turnage. So those were my first real friends. And I just enjoyed the moment. We had a really good ride. We won 3 championships when I was there. So, yeah.
How much did you play as a freshman?
I started, and I played a lot.
That figures. Okay. So I'm trying to think. So you moved in there before your 8th grade year? Like, when did you get to Atlanta? When did you move into the Westlake School District?
After we moved from Hawaii, which was after my 8th grade year.
Did they know you? Did they know who you were?
Yeah, they did. They heard about my AAU coach. He had sent Raven and Snoop to Westlake, and he heard about me in Hawaii because I think we had this one big tournament, and a lot of guys from the States were at that tournament, and a lot of recruiters and stuff like that. And he heard about me. He wanted me to play on his AAU team, FBC United. And so, that's when I was recommended to go there and be with Raven and Snoop. So.
What's the most points you ever scored in a game? I'm talking about AAU, rec, high school, whatever.
52. And that was in, I think, AAU. Yeah, that was AAU. I was in the 8th grade, 8th or 7th.
Oh, man. What was the score? Like 56 to did you score all the points?
I don't remember the score. I don't.
So you score when you're scoring like you score. I've always wondered this because, man, I don't know. I played some basketball, but if I scored 8 points, I would remember all of them. I'm like, yeah, I'm up to 8. Mm-hmm. When you score at the level you do you know, like when you come out of a game, I had 33 tonight or I had 52, or do you just have a feel that I think I might be around 30?
When I was younger, my dad used to keep score. My little siblings used to too. But now,
but did you have a running tally in your head?
I did.
Do you still?
Sometimes I do. Sometimes. Okay. But I mean, it just depends because college, the score is up there. You know how much each player has, how many fouls they have. So, yeah,
that's true. Yeah, you got the box score up there for you.
Yeah, we got the box score. So, yeah, that helps me a lot. But I do mentally too.
So, who among? I think you have 5 siblings, 6 siblings.
6 siblings.
Were they basketball players? Any of them? Were they athletes like you?
I have my little brother. He plays football, but other than that, no.
So does it come from your mom, your dad? Just the athleticism? Okay.
He played football. Yeah.
And so with you, and I guess it goes back to the first question I asked you. When did you kind of know I'm built different? Like people can't keep up with me. Most boys can't keep up with me. Most girls can't keep up with me. I'm faster than everyone. I can hang in the air longer. I control my body a little better. Like, was that the same thing 5th grade, or has that just been a constant work?
Kind of both, constant, and I just kind of knew. But I feel like I really got that feeling until now, which is in college, especially playing at this elite level. I didn't really realize my potential or where I could go until now. So I feel like now I'm like, okay, maybe I am I can stick with the best, or I can go pro. And this is like, now that I'm really sure of it. You know, back then it was just a dream, but now it's like, okay, I can really work towards becoming pro.
So even your senior year at American Heritage, you weren't 100% sure that you could be a W, or you could play at I know you knew you could play at this level, but play to this level.
Yeah. That's high school. So
yeah, really good point.
Like, high school isn't always the best. So, but playing against players that work day in, day out, it's definitely different. And, you know, like I said, just coming in and being in college and playing at this elite level around elite people, that's my, okay, yeah, I can play, or yeah, I'm really good moment.
How did the recruitment with Florida State? How did that go? When were they on your radar? When were you on their radar?
I took an unofficial visit in the 10th grade here with Raven and Snoop. I didn't have an offer at the time. I was just a little kid running around shooting baskets and, you know, just hoping and praying they'll give me one by just being me. And by the end of the visit, I got the offer from Coach Sue. And and ever since then I fell in love. And I told them right then and there, they were my first offer, and I told them right then and there they were going to be in my top 5. So, and yeah, the rest is history. And they were the most consistent.
When you say you were on a visit, though, like were you playing? Like, did they have you doing open run?
Nah, I was just shooting around while they were practicing. Like, the unofficial really wasn't for me. I was just there to experience things, but I guess they saw me shooting around and they just gave me the offer. So, yeah.
All right. Well, that worked out for everyone. So, but what was your recruit? You said they were going to be in your top 5 right away, and they were your first offer. Well, they certainly weren't your last offer.
Yeah.
So how many schools came calling? And I assume dozens, hundreds, whatever, everybody that could offer you did. What made Florida State, what made you stick with Florida State? Because Florida State's had some great teams in the past, but, you know, they're not the UConn of the world necessarily. Not right now. They're getting there, apparently. You guys are really good. But what made you decide to stick with them? And what was that recruiting experience like the last, 6 months of it?
Like I said, the staff was really consistent, and I built really good relationships within the staff. On my official, I took the girls really made me feel like I was at home and that I was already there. And that was my first official, and I knew right then and there, like, I want to commit now. But I had to, spread my wings and see everybody else. But I mean, I knew this was a place that I can, play for one as a freshman and make a change, like just turn around the program and just lead them to a national championship. So I wanted to start my own legacy and be somewhere where we can really make a dynasty.
How instrumental was Brooke in everything? Because when you committed, I guess Sue was still the coach, but Brooke had been the coach during the COVID year. So how much was your relationship with her instrumental in you landing or staying true to Florida State and landing here?
Ultimately, I talked to her the most. So I knew, like, we already had built a connection. And we talked about any and everything, like from boys to basketball to life. So I knew, like, then I was going to just stay and trust her and stick with her. Coach Sue was a legend. So, I mean, it played a part, but it really didn't. Like I said, I built a really good connection with Coach Brooke.
I wanted to go back to something you just said. You talked about wanting to take Florida State to a national championship. You've got some good players. You've obviously got a good team this year, a very good team. You've got good players. You got some grad seniors, and you got older players that are leaving. But the core, there's a young core that's very good, and you got good players coming in. People, when you're this good as a freshman, people are going in the modern day college athletics are going to be like, man, I hope she sticks it out. I hope she stays here. We're building something. How important is that to you truly to stay at Florida State? There's schools you could go to that have 1 million banners.
Yeah.
But to bring one of those to Florida State, whether it's a Final Four, a national championship, an ACC championship, hang a banner, hang something that's never been hung in the Civic Center before.
Yeah, that's just the dream. Like, you want to start your own legacy. You want to make a change in the community. Like, I really feel like we can, and that'll be amazing just for me, and I know for the coaches and, like I said, the community. So, I mean, I plan on sticking out, the rest of my 4 years here. Rest of my 3 here.
Right. And with these players that are on the team, like I mentioned, I think I saw the stat the other day that's like 5 either seniors or graduate students. How did they, because look, man, I'm saying it, you don't have to. You're the best player on the team. You take the most shots, you score the most. You're not selfish though. You don't shoot a ton, but you do shoot more than anybody else. How did they adapt to that? A freshman coming in, being the star, quote unquote.
That's such the beauty of this team. Like, I know, like, everybody knows that it can be anybody at any given night, and they really support me, and I support them, and we love each other on and off the court. So it just makes my job easier, and just to have teammates, like especially upperclassmen, to respect me and respect what I have going on right now is a blessing.
Who's the most famous person in your phone?
Most famous person on my phone.
I know you got to have connections. I know. I mean, you travel in circles that we don't travel. And I'm talking about, do you know the Caitlin Clark or Paige Beckers? Do you know any of them? Have you ever gone up against those kind of players?
I've never played against them, but I met Paige Beckers recently at the overtime event, and we did an interview together. It's on YouTube, and we follow each other on Instagram.
Oh, there you go. Nice.
I don't know if I have anybody really, really famous in my phone, like as far as numbers.
I was gonna say Sue and Brooke don't count. I was talking about like a Tiger Woods or somebody like that.
Oh no, not yet.
So wrapping up here, what are your goals when you're already averaging 25 as a freshman? Do you have individual goals? Like, you're going to win ACC Rookie of the Year. You're probably going to win ACC Player. I mean, heck, you win ACC Rookie of the Week every week. Legitimately, they could rename the award after you. But what are your goals? Are they all team oriented? Because where do you go up from 25? I guess you could average 35 or 50 if you wanted, but I think you seem to be more of a team oriented person than a team goal oriented person than an individual one.
For anything to make the team win, but my personal goals this year would be National Freshman of the Year. And just to stay consistent. Like, I don't want to, do a dip. I just need to stay consistent, or, if not, go up, like you said. So those are my personal goals, and just to learn and soak in all the new things that I'm learning now at the college level, especially from upperclassmen and coaches, and, just taking in the experience.
What's your major?
Nursing for right now.
You must get really good grades. You're a very intelligent person. Have you always gotten good grades?
Yeah, I've always been a 4.0 student.
Oh, look at you. You don't have to brag. You don't have to brag. That's impressive, though. That's 4.0. So, seriously, wrapping up, I wanted to ask 2 more questions. Well, one, really. Just what do you think of the state of Florida? You moved to the difference between – you lived in Miami last year. Is that where American Heritage is, the South Florida?
Oh, it's Plantation, Florida. But yeah.
Is that close to Miami? What suburb?
Yeah.
What was that like? Was that a culture shock at all to go live in South Florida? Or, I mean, you were just so used to moving, it wasn't that big a deal. And same question about Tallahassee.
No, not really a culture shock because I was like raised around predominantly white people, and then I moved to Hawaii with a whole bunch of Asians and Hawaiians. So it was just like I've been in those predicaments. I've been in, environments. So it really wasn't much of a culture shock. If anything, it was like, oh, finally I'm home. I get to experience home, and call this place home. But
and then what about Tallahassee?
Tallahassee definitely gives like Georgia a little bit. Like
yeah, it does.
Here it's a lot of like woody looks. It's not really many palm trees like Miami, but it's a good college town.
Sure. I always tell people it's more like South Alabama than Florida.
Yeah.
Like when people think of Florida, you don't think of Tallahassee. It's more of a Southern Alabama, Southern Georgia type place.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Ta'Niya, this has been awesome, man. I hope I didn't bother you too much. Keep going. It's been literally, I'm telling everybody I know, legitimately, on Twitter, on this show, watch this team play and watch this player play because it's once in a generation what you're doing. And what's cool about you, and I know this isn't a question, you aren't selfish. Yeah. People with your skills can, I'll look up and you'll take 14 shots. A lot of people with your skills would take 30. But you do seem to really want to make the right play and get other players involved. I guess this really is my last question, then you're going. But is that something you've always had? Is the ability to kind of not just get your teammates involved and make sure they get their chance too?
Yeah, I just want to play the right way. And that's always something that's been in my game. Like, no matter how much I score, I still want to get my teammates involved because this is a team sport. And, that's going to win championships. Like, I'm not going to be able to just drop 40 every night or take a million shots every night. That's just looking bad on me and bad on the program. Like I said, I just got to get my teammates involved because that gives us all confidence.
Well, seriously, though, next game, drop 40. Just do it. Just do it. Just to do it. Just to do it once, just to show people you can. Ta'Niya, that's awesome, man. Thank you very much.
Again, thanks to Ta'Niya. Well done by Corey on that interview. A reminder, again, we'll speak to 4, I think, newcomers starting at 10 o'clock this morning, so be on the lookout for that over on warchant.com. We'll have all the video interviews up on our YouTube page, and we'll have, I'm sure, a story up by lunchtime as well. And Renegade Express is up over on the Tribal Council. Go ahead, post your questions. Transfer portal also winding down. All the news over on the Premium Recruiting Board. For Corey, I'm Aslan. Thank you for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.